Welcome back, everybody, to Dad Talks with Jay Blues. We have another guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up? My name is Joshua Smykel. I hail from Ajax, Ontario. And you're going to learn about me throughout the course of this interview, so I'm not going to get too deep with it.
All right. And you're a father, correct?
I'm a father of two.
Father
boy and girl.
of two, boy and girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're good. You evened out. You plan on having any more?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
How much do you want?
I mean, initially the number was like, the high, the sevens, the eights.
Oh my God.
I come from a big family myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was, now, you come from a big family when you start losing count, when you actually have to say the number of kids that are actually in your family. 5 boys, 2 girls, 7 of us, and then my parents.
So 7 of you guys.
7. And I mean, like, the house was about, it's a 2-bedroom, like semi detached house, and we did it for like 10 years.
You said 2-bedroom, 7 kids plus 2 parents.
Plus 2 parents, and at one point, 4 of my aunts and my grandmother, all in one crib.
You guys packed it up.
I mean, at first it was like my dad had this whole plan that he's going to fly them up from Jamaica. They're going to work in the house, and there's not going to be any friction between family members. And there was plenty of friction.
Of course. That much people in that small of a house. There's definitely going to be, that's mine. Don't touch that. Definitely going to be friction.
Yes. And we learned pretty fast. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I understand his point of view, when he came forward and he had this plan to sort of move up from where we were, like, economically by having his mom there and having my aunts there. But the moment that they touched down from home, they had their own plan as to where they wanted to take their lives. Okay. And that impacted the whole plan. And
wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you had your father growing up. How was that experience?
It was good. I mean, I would say that I had a really full childhood as far as the influence of my dad and my mom being in the same house. I don't come from a background of, my dad was absent, or, my mom and my dad were at war the whole time that we were at home and stuff. But my dad, his personality, now here's like, I'm coming out with it now, but his personality was one that wasn't tremendously engaging. He was one of those father types, because I guess he subscribed to that West Indian model of that matriarchy where like the mom is the one who's driving the charge, and then he's just back there and he's cool. And like, if he has to get up, things are going to get
trouble.
Crazy.
It's trouble.
Exactly. So he stays quiet most of the time.
Yeah.
And that dynamic was cool. My dad's super chill. I feel like I get my relaxed capacities from him, but I would say, he was chill to a point where there was some level of disconnect, which I guess is sort of standard, or could be standard in some West Indian homes, where like the father is there, but he's not really like,
not really there. Yeah. It's almost like an absent dad, but he's present.
I mean, like, you don't want to say it because it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And like, the nature of these interviews is like things are going to get cathartic real quick. Like, you're going to start to learn some stuff and uncover some stuff. And like, I didn't think we get here already at this one in the interview. But I mean, if I'm really reflecting on my time at home growing up with my dad, there was a couple of things that I would say that he was like sort of up against, where, he's the father of 7 children.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to experience seeing what it's like to be a father in that situation.
Right.
And not just the father of like 7 children, but it's like father of 7 children in like a complicated situation where it's like not all the kids are his.
Oh, okay. So it was a blended family.
It was a blended family. So my dad met my mom, thought she was the baddest woman on the planet, who also happened to be in the church.
Okay.
And wasn't listening to anything else. Said, I'm going to marry you now. They dated for like 8 months. I want to say 4 months. That's crazy. But I mean, some people meet, they get married in like 9 days.
I've seen it. As a wedding photographer, I've seen people date for 4 months, get married in like the 5th month, and that's it. They're gone.
And all the power to them. I can't be the one to talk, because I mean, like, my wife and I, we dated for less than a year and we got there. But I digress.
Yeah.
My dad, I met my mom, thought she was the baddest woman on the planet, decided to say, hey, lock it in. And this all had transpired. And her son, my older brother,
Okay.
was 8 years old in Trinidad at the time and had been living in Trinidad while my mom had moved to Canada. And he had been living with his grandparents in Trinidad for like the past, well, up until that point, about like 6 years.
Wow.
So like he's talking to mom on the phone, seeing pictures, but like hasn't seen mom
Yeah.
for like 6 years.
Wow.
And my dad meets my mom, they get married, and they get busy. Now I'm on the way. And my brother's coming up from Trinidad to meet my dad for the first time.
Whoa. That's a lot. That's a lot. So your brother's coming up from Trinidad with a new stepfather and a new brother on the way after not seeing his mom for 6 years.
Something like that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
And it's crazy because I haven't spoken about this
Yeah.
in this way. I've never spoken about this in this way ever. I don't think I've ever told this story, but like he came up, and the moment that he touched down, it was culture shock for him because he's coming from Trinidad and he is a Trinidadian.
Yeah.
And he's coming into this, he's coming to Scarborough where you have pharmacy in Ellesmere.
Oh, so
and he's going to school.
Oh, that's
and they're not giving him no one's taking a break on him. Your accent sounds funny. Where'd you come from? Da, da, da. Like you're talking back, like this is the 90s.
Yeah. Oh,
We're
yeah.
not as politically correct.
There was no cancel culture.
There was no cap. Kids are coming at you like full force.
Yup.
And he's navigating all this, and then he's navigating, the whole situation. Oh, my dad, and then he has a different last name.
Okay.
So he's also trying to like mitigate that. And now he's a part of this family now. And, it's one thing to have a blended family and like there's one kid and then there's the other kid, myself.
Yeah.
And it's like balanced, but you got like one kid and then like 6 other kids who come afterwards. You are assimilating to a new culture now, which you are continuing to adjust to.
Right.
And, my dad was in a position where he was trying to lead in a certain direction. But I mean, at the time, the regrets are out now, but like he was trying to lead in a certain direction to have everyone, the same last name, same experience, whatever. And back in Trinidad, they dug in their heels and said, no. He's going to have his name remain the same way and he will just be him.
Yeah.
And since that time, he's grown up kind of just being him.
Right.
In this house.
Right.
And trying to understand who he is as a part of the family.
Right.
And I mean, like, for the beginning part of my childhood, he took it out on me.
Who else is he going to take it out on? No, baby brother. That's it.
I would find, like, he'd have because he's older than me.
Right.
He'd have all these cool things. He had the AI threes, Allen Iverson threes for the younger audience there. Allen Iverson was killing it back in the 90s. And he had the AIs and he'd be, rocking those. Or he has some fresh gear, some N1 stuff. And I was, I'd ask to wear the stuff or to borrow or even to hold it or look at it. No,
can't wear it.
I don't even exist right now.
Yeah.
My younger brother, the one who's directly after me, is like all of the sins, all of the transgressions against my older brother have been poured on me, and it just avoids him. So he's able to slide in there, get the Adidas slides on, get the basketball jersey on, rocking his Carter. Like he's doing his thing, and I'm like, I mean, in my mind, I always fought with it and be like, oh, that's not fair. Oh, he hates me for no reason. Whatever. It wasn't until I was an older person, literally an adult. My brother had left the house and then came back and started to live with us again that, we are actually able to come to an understanding and develop a friendship to where now, like, I call him up, like, that's my boy.
Yeah.
But, we had to come to a point of understanding each other and kind of understanding where we were coming from and really accepting, like, the type of family that we're in and who we are as brothers.
Right.
Because I don't feel like that was something that was sort of led. It was something that we were kind of left to discover. And that's probably because the numbers were high at the house.
There was a lot of people, a lot of different personalities, and your father was doing, I guess, the best he knew how to do at the time, right?
Yeah.
He coming from that West Indian mentality, you provide. As a father, all you got to do is provide.
Yeah.
Once you provide, you're successful, right? Mom will handle the house. You provide. If mom needs help, hey, what are you guys doing? You come with the authority, and then that's it. Then you go back and just, flick on the TV and you're good, right? You're in the house.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fathers, especially a lot of West Indian fathers, still have that mentality. Like, as long as I'm in the house, I can't be an absent father. All right. And they don't really engage with their children. Like, you may ask them, what's your child's favorite color? What's their favorite TV show? Who are their friends? And they'd be like, I don't know all that stuff. All I know is they eat, they have a roof over their head, and they have clothes, and they're good. Right. So I get it's definitely a different culture than what we're used to now growing up. Right. So you're a father of two. How do you see, or do you see a resemblance with how your father raised you to how you're raising your kids?
The crazy thing is that yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that there's some of the traits that my father would bring to the household, the stoicism, the sort of like, you know, directive leadership, like we're doing this at this time and, you know, cut this out and this is the direction that we're going. Like, I see that part of him that's in me coming out. But when it comes to the intentionality of fatherhood,
Yeah.
something that I reflect on actively as I go about raising my children, that's where I think we sort of branch off.
Okay.
And, you know, I have a son, I have a daughter. I want to break from that mold where, you know, you're the man of the house, you provide. Yes, that's cool, but you're emotionally distant. And then when that child grows up, you don't even really know how to connect with this person.
Right.
Because the one, like, you're the person who provides for this person as a child. When that story is over and that journey is done, and you're not providing for this person as a child, what is this relationship?
Yep.
And, you know, like I've seen it where, you know, the father is sort of lost in the sauce, doesn't really know what to do with the relationship after the contract is finished. He's 18 now.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to address this person as an adult. And oftentimes it could be both dad and mom together will just revert back to the same sort of respect they were giving you as a child.
Yeah.
And they don't respect your decisions, or they want to challenge you because they don't think you're doing it right or whatever. And, you know, it's because like the journey is not just with this person as a child. This is a journey with a person, or with this person as a person.
Yeah.
And there's chapters that start and close. And when this, you know, you start that chapter of adulthood or you start that chapter of grandfatherness, you have to now figure out how you adjust and how you land in this space and how you advise your child. And I feel that like you're able to do a better job. You're a little bit more directive when you've been developing that relationship from small, where you understand that this is a journey that doesn't perpetuate into forever. Like, this is not just going to be in my mind, the child that I raise and will always be the little baby that I see all the time. Like, this person that I'm raising is going to become an adult who I have to respect. So now I have to brace myself and prepare myself psychologically, because we all have to do it. Nobody's just going to wake up with this stuff, where you're going to be in a position where you can support this person as an adult, and then that respect is there, and then you're able to continue doing parenthood at the same level that you were when you were raising this kid as a baby.
Right.
Like, transition into that moment. And, you know, kind of stemming back to how my father is now, me as a father, and me being a father, him seeing me walk out this journey and how he's reacting to it and how he's being like an input into that journey. I mean, like, I feel that there's a lot of conversations that we have where it's like discovery most of the time.
Okay.
Where it's like almost like I'm catching him up on how I got here. Like,
well, essentially you are, because emotionally he wasn't part of the journey. Like, he was there physically, financially, but emotionally, that's where the disconnect was. So you are catching him up to, Dad, this was my journey. This is how I got to be the man that I am. You know, you provided for me, you did everything you were supposed to, but you don't really know me.
You see, when you say it like that, that just sounds crazy. When you say it like that, it sounds crazy, because it's like, I mean, he's my dad. He's supposed to know me.
Yeah. Moms always have a more emotional connection to their children, right? So moms know their kids. When you hear a mom say, I know my child, like, that's real. Moms know their kids. They could tell you, yeah, this is their best friend is this, their favorite color is this. They like to do. Dads kind of, especially back in the day, dads are kind of just like, everyone's good. All right, everyone's good.
Yeah.
Right. They don't really take the time to get to know their children on that level of a person.
Yeah.
Right. And I like what you said about even as one chapter closes, another chapter opens. And that's how I approach parenthood. Right. Because I have 5 kids and my oldest one's 23. Right. So the relationship.
Does the audience know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell my story. So the relationship I have with the 23-year-old is different from my youngest, who's 10. Right. I'm parenting my 10-year-old. My 23-year-old, I'm mentoring. Right. I'm just there as a guide. Like she'll come and be like, yo, dad, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know? And I'll be like, all right, these are your options. You know, you make the decision. Right. I'm always there to support you, but you have to make decisions for yourself because you're moving into an age of independence that I'm not going to be there to rely on. Right. I'll be there to support, but you're not a dependent anymore. You're independent. Right. And I think a lot of, like you said, a lot of parents have a hard time with that transition where this is my child. They'll forever be my child. Yeah, they will, but the relationship's different now. Right. My daughter comes to me and says, Dad, I want to do A. Okay, cool. Go ahead. Have you thought about the pros and the cons? Like, well, you know, what can happen? Yeah. Okay, go ahead then. I'm not parenting. No, I don't want you to do that. It's my house. No. Right? You have to live your life. Right? I don't want to cripple my child to be dependent on me forever. Right? So it's that's how life is though.
I think that's an amazing point. Like you just described, sorry, I hit the mic.
It's all right.
But you just described the transition there, that holistic approach to parenthood where, you know, because that's just that you're so right. Like the drop off is when that child grows up and you see it all the time. Fathers don't know how to talk to their daughters. I mean, like you gave a beautiful example, but fathers know how to talk to their daughters. And sometimes worse yet, don't even know how to talk to their sons. Sometimes it's like war with their sons. Like it's time to compete with this guy now because, you know, this guy is here. But they don't know how to step into that role of like, you know, okay, this is a boy who's probably going to be better than me at a lot of things.
But that's what you want. Like I have a son, he's 21. I want my son to be better. I want my son to be better in every aspect than I was. Everything that I touch, I want my son to be better than me. Like I will be successful if he's better than me. If he outshines me, great. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm just his stepping stool to greatness. Like that's it. So like me and my son, we joke all the time. I go, yo, you're not stronger than me yet. Push him back a little bit. You know, we wrestle and he's like, all right, you're getting kind of strong. Okay, but you're still not stronger than me yet. The time he gets stronger than me, I'm not fighting that. He's going to be stronger than me. You know what I mean? If he's better than me in anything, I play drums a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He's way better than me in drums right now.
Yeah.
And I take so much pride in that. Like, yeah, that's my son. He's better than me. Yup. People are like, yo, your son's better. Yeah, absolutely. I would be like, why would I want to keep him down? Like I'm his stepping stool. Use me to get to greatness.
Yeah, keep him down just because, oh no. I have to be the man.
No.
I have to be the best in this house. I'm the king. Crazy.
And I think that's why a lot of sons don't respect their fathers. Right? My son has a great deal of respect for me. Because I'm not trying to hold him down. I'm trying to elevate him. But he knows I'm still dad. So you have to have a level of respect for me, right? But because he knows I'm not holding him down, that respect is already there, right? He's like, my dad is looking out for me. He wants, okay, Dad, what do you need?
Yeah.
You know, I say it and he's like, all right, Dad, I'll do it.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy because, I mean, like there's a rediscovery of like masculinity and manhood now. And it's because, like, you know, up until this point, a lot of the narrative has been beating guys down and not allowing guys to just be men.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And like sort of shelling you into this, like, you know, acceptable boyhood that doesn't, you know, react when naturally whatever's going in the predominant narrative is not going to line up with what's happening in homes real time. And like, I think it's amazing that you say that you don't fight your son. He doesn't fight you because you're not trying to hold him down.
Yeah.
As men, we have this thing inside of us where we're built to be protectors. We're built to go out there and challenge things and to invent and to just find ways out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is especially apparent. There's a quote where it says, you know, hard times breed hard men. Hard men, they bring good times. Good times make soft men.
Yeah,
And then soft
yeah.
men make hard
Hard
times.
times. Yeah, yeah. I
And then
heard
the
that.
cycle repeats itself where those hard times create hard men. And I mean, I wouldn't say there's necessarily creation of anything. It's more inside of a man. As you transition into manhood, there is always something that's trying to challenge the status quo of who you are, what
Yeah.
your limits are, what you can do. And sometimes that expresses itself in your career choices. Sometimes it expresses itself in a situation where, you know, you're trying to work out and get bigger. Other times it can express itself where they're being held down.
Yeah.
And that wakes up that part of them that's just like, this is crazy. I need to fight, and there's only one way out of this, which is fists as well as I'm going through. And when you said you're moving yourself out the way, are you like literally, as you go about your everyday leading your son, you lead him in a way where it's, I'm ushering you to the next step. I'm not going to prevent you. I'm not here to, you know, try to steal, shine, or up, you know, one up you. No. That's not why we're here. The mission is for you to be stronger than me. Now, there is a part of that transition that we were talking about in the break. I shouldn't even say that. There was a part of the transition that we were talking about where, you know, internally there's the I and then there's the we.
Right.
So as a person goes from childhood into their adulthood, there's always that understanding of that duality where they understand who they are as a person,
Right.
but then they also understand who they are in relationship to the world around them. And when that transition happens, if I'm getting the point out correctly, and that person who's in that supporting position, that boy now becomes a man, and that man has surpassed you and literally crushed all of your limits.
Yeah.
What happens to the relationship at that point?
But you have to look at it in terms of like how life is, right? There's a saying, once a man, twice a boy.
Okay.
Right. As we get older, we're going to become dependent again. Right.
Okay.
Whether it be on our children or somebody to take care of us. Right. So for me, when I look at it, how I'm raising my children, they're dependent on me. Right. And then there comes a point we kind of coexist. Right. Where I'm not dependent on them and they're not dependent on me. Right. I'm their safety net at that point. If they stumble, if they fall and they need me for anything, I'm there, right? But I'm just there as a safety net and a guide and a mentor. You know, I'm not doing the direct parenting where it's like, I want you to do this because I want you to, and you're going to do it, right? And then as we transition to my later years, I'm going to be dependent on them, right? To kind of take care of me or guide me in a way that, you know, I'm going to be vulnerable at that point. So I think the I and the we are always there. How it looks in different stages of your life, it changes, just based off of where you are and where they are. So when I say like I want my children to be better than me, it's I want them to be in a position that I've never reached, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't affect the we in our relationship because they still know that dad is dad, mom is mom. We have that relationship.
Yeah.
Right. But they also know that I'm going to be transitioning away from this relationship. So it'll look different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The relationship I have with my 23-year-old does not look like it did when she was 12.
Yeah.
Or 14 or 16. Even.
Yeah. And you didn't approach it with that point of view that, oh, this relationship is always going to stay this way.
No, that's the thing. I'm very, very, I'm a realist. I know what's going it happened to me. Like, you know, me and my mom, we don't have the same relationship.
Yeah.
We're more like friends now.
Yeah.
Right. My mom, I have a high respect for my mother.
Yeah.
Right. West Indian. So I have to have that high respect for my mother.
Yeah.
Right. But just on her being such an amazing person, the respect's there.
Yeah.
But we talk as like friends now.
Yeah.
You know, I would never ever disrespect her. It's a friendship. That came from how she raised me.
Yeah.
Right. So she raised me. I was dependent on her. And then when she knew when I got to a certain level, I wouldn't be dependent on her. Yeah. So I approached it knowing that it would happen to me. It has to. Right.
Yeah.
So when I became a father, I looked at this child and said, one day this child is going to be grown.
Yeah.
And not need me the way that she's going to need me right now.
Yeah.
So I made sure I gave like all my time, all my effort into getting her to be responsible, respectful, just pouring my morals and values into her so that I could start her off on the right path. And once she's on that path, she's on her own journey.
Word.
Right. And that's my approach to all my children. I just try to give them the best of me.
Yeah.
To develop them into a better version.
Yeah.
Right. And then they have, the aspects of their mother, and they take that and they make their better version. Right.
I like that.
I think the downfall of a lot of parents is, like you said, they don't really think their children are going to grow up. they think that relationship's going to stay the same forever, and it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very well put. Like, put simply, they never think that the relationship, that parent-child relationship will ever end.
Yeah.
And they think that the parent-child relationship is supposed to look like a parent-child relationship when it's two adults talking.
Yeah, two adults, right? Especially if I don't live in your house. Like, how are you going to tell me what to do when I have my own family over here?
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be aware of that change.
I mean, like, that point of view that you feel that your kid always has to remain your kid. Where do you think that comes from?
Oh, that's a good question. See, I don't know, 'cause I'm West Indian too.
Yeah.
I'm West Indian and Nigerian. I'm Jamaican and Nigerian.
Oh, okay.
So, Africans have that
You
approach.
will always be my child.
Right. And it's always a high level of respect for your parents, to the point where it's a detriment to you at times.
Yeah.
Right. Where now you're in your own relationship, in your own home, and your parents have such a say in that relationship that now it's causing friction between you and your partner.
And your wife.
Right.
Yeah.
And West Indians too.
It's not
West Indians
that
too.
is in the West Indian culture.
And I'm not sure where it stems from.
Yeah.
It's just always been, from my understanding, it's just always been, right? But if you look in other cultures, they have the approach of, I'm taking care of my child, and then one day my child would take care of me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where you get like say in an Asian home where they will have the mother or the parents live with them.
Yeah.
But they're the heads of the house now. Like, they are the heads, and they are living with us to take care of our children or whatever. You get like a lot of older Asian grandmothers babysitting and stuff.
You see this a lot. And I mean, like, when I was growing up in Scarborough, I mean, not growing up, but like I left the house and then I was living on my own in Scarborough where we met.
Yeah.
You see this a lot in the Sri Lankan community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shooting weddings, you see this picture almost all the time where, everybody has their role to play, and you go to the house and it's like the grandparents aren't just being grandparents, but they fill in as parents to the kids that are there, but fill in as parents to the kids, but almost like substitute teachers where they have assimilated the new culture that their children are bestowing into this home,
right,
and pushing that, and then also infusing some of like the old home stuff where they got the language that's still going, and they have some of the culture that's still going, and you have this dynamic where the core traditions are always transitioned down, almost intact perfectly from generation to generation, because there's this understanding of that once a man, twice a child situation where it's just like man or woman, both together, married. You have your house that you're raising and your kids that you have there, but you're raising these kids to go out and not to stay down forever.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're married, right?
I am.
And how long have you been married for?
We've been married for 3 years.
3 years. How is it with you and like your parents and your in-laws? How does that mesh?
Well, so how does my parents and my in-laws, what's the dynamic between both of those?
What's the dynamic in your house with them on the outside?
Okay. It's different. It's much different. And I feel that, like, I guess this newer generation that's a little bit more self-aware of like how we're feeling and, how to do parenthood a little bit more aware than how the previous generation did. They, like the generation ahead of us, they have a respect for our approach. Yeah. And they allow us to live out our approach as we do our parenthood. But there's always pushback. Always pushback. I mean, it's like, you know what you're doing, but you don't really know what you're doing. Yeah. And it's, they'll hit you at the time. Well, you've only been married for 3 years. Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. You know what to do. I've been married for 35, 36.
West Indians like to do that. They like to put you in your place.
all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm me, my big self, and you're telling me what this child is supposed to be doing when it's like the time that I spend with this child, raising this child, it may have only been a couple of years.
Yeah.
But as a parent, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm motivated to have this child succeed in a way that I can't even imagine right now. But your motivations as the generation ahead, those are your motivations for me, but you can't have the same motivations for them that I would have because you are not the parent in this situation. You have to respect that boundary.
Right.
And building that boundary is super weird sometimes.
It can be, yeah, definitely.
Because of that fact.
Because there's a level of respect that we have for our parents, right?
Yeah.
That it's like, mom's telling me to do this. Dad's, but me as a parent, like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know? So it's finding the balance. Like I remember, when my daughter was like, my oldest daughter, a couple months old or whatever, maybe like a year or so, like we didn't want to give her any like, popsicles or anything like that. And they were like, oh, give her the popsicle. And we're like, oh man, we don't want to.
Yeah. And
we ended up giving it to her and she got sick. And we're like, see, if we just had listened to ourselves, like this wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. From there, it was just like, nah, what we say as parent goes, like that's it. Right. We'll take your advice, but we may not follow it.
And you know what? I to that point, when you ask how that dynamic is between my parents, my in-laws, and myself and my wife, there is a respect there as far as what we're doing. But I feel like, again, as we said before, that there's always that bit of pushback. That's just like, they won't question you in the moment, but they'll come with their questions.
Oh yeah, after you're gonna hear it. Yeah, you're definitely gonna hear it.
I remember there was one moment. My son was just going crazy. He was very energetic one day, and he wasn't really trying to hear anybody.
Yeah.
He's just, hey, come here, sit down. No. He wants to run, and you have to talk to him like 2-3 times.
Yeah.
You know those ones.
Yeah.
And you have to you have to be a bit patient. But this child is just not listening. They're just on their mission right now. And my mom looked at me like I was crazy because she's just like, I would have whooped your
Yeah.
I grew up, we get licks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's normal.
That's absolutely normal.
But do my wife and I, do we give licks? No.
Oh, you guys are those new age parents.
We are the new age parents.
Them new age parents.
Now you give me that heat sarcastically, but when you get that heat like live and direct from your mom,
oh yeah.
Tell me how that's working out for you.
Yeah. Oh.
Like you feel crazy. We're not like
you're not gonna beat them. Okay.
Yeah. Are you, really? You're just gonna let him?
We'll see.
Time out.
We'll see.
Time what?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Talk to me in 10 years when you can't control your kid. Yeah.
Hopefully, I won't have to go visit him.
Yeah.
During visiting hours, it's just like you don't like. Yes, we have decided to go about it this way, and to be honest, I mean, coming from a background of corporal punishment.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, there's some things I have to like exercise self-control because I'm like, okay, in this situation, like you're getting licks. Like you're getting one or two.
I believe in it.
Yeah.
Quick.
You're getting redirected.
Yeah, I believe in it.
Now, I will admit, I mean, as a person who came from that background, I mean, I'm not administering licks. But my mind, when you're being held down in one direction, sometimes the tree grows in another. And it's just like, try that again. Try that one more time and see how I won't creatively turn your life upside down. Or it's just like, oh, yeah, you're blessed. Hey, come here. No, watch this show. Hey, you want a snack? I got you. Come here. Da-da-da-da. Now, listen, Daddy has like 4 or 5 things that I'd like you to do, and we're going to stick to them. And if we're not sticking to them, well, then we're getting wild. Okay? Oh, okay, whatever. And then he's, my son's in school now. He's going to grade 1.
Okay.
And it's that transition period where he's absorbing a lot of the behaviors from school and he's trying them out at home.
Oh, yeah.
Craziness.
It gets worse.
Craziness.
It gets worse.
And for me, like, I understand that sometimes I'm not really disciplining him. I might be disciplining the child at school.
Yeah,
and he's just living out what he saw to me here live and direct, and now I have to react to that. And oftentimes, like instead of like giving licks, my reaction when it comes to punishment might be just disproportionate. Yeah, corporal punishment. Sometimes the punishment's disproportionate, and I will explain to him in the situation, like he just feels like it's just totally unfair. And then sometimes it might sound bad, but like he will be on his punishment time, and then I'm blessing his sister, and his sister's right there.
That's it. What do you mean?
Blessing her, giving
Yeah,
her
she ain't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But listen, that's how
She
it
was
goes.
listening.
Yeah.
And then I'll explain to him, like, listen, man, Zion, they may not, do this outside. Like things are a lot more serious when you get out, when you leave the house. You have to understand that when daddy tells you to do something, it's not because daddy doesn't want you to have fun. It's because it's either for you to stay safe or for you to stay safe. Like this is a practice for what's going to be happening outside. And I've heard, people say like, oh, like talk to your kid at the level that they understand. I'm part of the school of talk to your kid like how real life is going to talk to your kid.
Real life. That's in real life.
Because they ain't going to give you no second chances or any chance to really learn. Sometimes you're given the test and then you learn the lesson afterwards.
Facts.
So you have to be ready for those types of moments in your life. And it's like, son, he also has to understand that, listen, like if you think that these punishments are heavy, outside is not as forgiving as your dad is. You have to understand that if you can just follow my directives and learn and be wise here, you can succeed out there and do whatever you want. You can tear the place down. You just have to learn how to listen here first.
Listen, outside they believe in corporal punishment, bro. So outside, listen, outside you mess with the wrong person, they ain't talking to you. That's a straight hit to the face. You getting jumped or something like.
Yeah.
So, but I don't question anybody who doesn't believe in corporal punishment. I'll beat all of my kids.
Yeah.
All of them have got licks.
Yeah.
They get licked to a certain age and then I stop.
Yeah.
They don't know what age that is.
Yeah. It's an enigma.
I know what age that is, right? But they don't know what age that is. And then I like what you do though. I give lectures. I'm like Bill Cosby. Like we will sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Right. So I give a lot of lectures to the point where my kids are more afraid of the lectures than they are like me beating them.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's like, come here, let's talk. And they're like, oh,
this is gonna be a minute.
Yeah. Right. But you can tell that they're taking in the lessons by how they shift their behavior. Yeah. Right. So that's why when I'm with my kids or when I'm not with my kids, I will walk and meet people on the street that, oh, you're so and so's dad. Yeah. They are so amazing. Yeah. Right. And as a father, it's the best thing to hear. Yeah. The best thing when people who don't know you are telling you. But it's also because, like, I've done corporal punishment. I've done stand on the wall, put your hands above your head until I tell you to put it down. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hilarious. Yo, when they start squirming, I'm just like, yeah, you're going to learn today. Right? But then I will always follow up with a conversation. Yeah. I never beat my kids out of anger. I'm never upset at them when I beat them. Yeah. I'm just showing them this is a lesson behind this, right? Yeah. And then we have a conversation, right? Because I want to make sure that they're clear about what's happening and why it happened and understand that, there's action, but there's also consequences. Yeah. Right. So I want them to leave that situation educated. Right. So that was my approach growing up. And raising them anyway. And I think it's worked. I don't hear any negative reviews about my kids. So I think it's worked, the decision that, to not go in the corporal punishment route for us, it was more of like, sort of consensus as to what we believed in as a family. And to be honest, coming from a background of corporal punishment, like, I mean, none of us are crazy. None of us are violent. None of us are reacting to the world in an obtuse way. In fact, the majority of us are leaders in our respective community. Like almost everybody is. And, leaders in a sense that like, there's a certain way how you challenge the world where you're not like, I already got the worst back home. What you gonna do to me? Exactly. And you go and you walk into situations like that. And, when that's paired up with, you're raised, not even in regard to what the majority of the audience is. For us, we were raised with the Christian upbringing, where you are taught how to act, how to perceive the world early, and then that's also paired with the punishment style that you get. You walk into the world not just knowing how to deal with tough
situations and tough times.
Yeah.
But then you also know how to react during the times when things are buzzing and going like the right way. You know how to treat the people and how to see the people around you and bless them and lead them. And I feel like for me as a father personally, like it has helped me to navigate fatherhood better because I understood sort of the balance between like what punishment is and what the lessons were from that punishment and how those things are paired together to get me to where I'm supposed to be going right now.
Right.
And then like I take those lessons and then I remix them based on the situations that we're meeting on a day-to-day basis with the kids. And then I'm able to give discipline out in a way that makes sense for them right now. But yeah, I mean, like,
I'm not telling you not to.
I know, but
listen,
it's not
everybody runs their house.
My mind now. No. I'm not
telling you to pull out the belt and you go. No.
That's a conversation. Obviously,
every parent has their own style, and I respect that. Like, because every child is different.
Yeah.
Like one child you can beat and the
other one you can just talk to.
The other one you can talk to. One child you could beat and they'll look at you in your face like, all right, and what? No, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
But as soon as you talk to them, they're like, okay. And they receive
my younger
it.
brother was like that.
They receive it
now. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it all depends on the parent, their parenting style, and the child, and how well the child receives the punishment.
Yeah.
There's no point in beating a child that's just
not going to be receptive to it.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to beat me. I'm still going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now you have to find another method,
Yeah.
right? So I would never tell a parent how to parent their child like that. So
yeah.
But I do have a question for you. Both your children are for the same woman? I have that.
Yes,
listen, you don't understand. I've had a lot of fathers come on here, multiple. So it's a question. It's a question.
And no, I didn't mean to start off by no.
It's like no.
Both of my children are from the same woman, but I mean, my son is going to see this when he's much older. We haven't had the conversation with him yet now.
Okay.
But I mean, we're coming into a blended situation.
Okay.
And it's a funny sort of like space to navigate, at least for me, at this point right now in life.
Yeah.
Because I lived through it with my older brother coming up and, sort of acclimatizing to our family and his new stepdad and new family situation. I understand it from that perspective. And I've also seen the blended family thing in other perspectives. But I mean, now I'm living it. And now it's like, the conversation is it to be like, when do you have that conversation with your son? Like when I met my wife, my son was a year old.
Wow.
He only knows me as dad. Period.
Okay.
There is no outside influence of I'm the guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, like we are ending the process of getting his last name changed, but and his last name wasn't the last name of his birth father. His last name was the name of his mother because his birth father literally just dropped off the map when everything was, said and done.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy. Again, this is a conversation that I'm going to be having with them.
Yeah.
And the conversation probably won't happen from today's date, probably another 9 years from now.
Okay.
Well, he's 6 now, so let's be realistic.
Let's be realistic.
Probably like 4 years.
I'll give you about 4. I'll give you about 4. They hit 10, 11. Yeah, they might start asking some questions.
Yeah.
Definitely before grade 9.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I remember when I was coming up, I was starting to, wander about the world in grade 6, and that's 10, and that's 4 years from now. Now, it's crazy. Like, our relationship that we've had here, like, getting to know each other as friends, like, COVID happened 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we blew through that thing, and it feels like that was like, it feels like a year has passed. At least for me personally.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
And that's 3 years. 4 years is going to come up on you with that same type of speed.
It's gonna blow by.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to have a conversation. Brother, it's different.
Listen, it's a tough conversation to have, to be honest.
Because you think about, like, up until this point, your entire identity, everything that you know about the world is this dude, this dude, this dude. I am the one who when you think about a dad, anything that has to do with dad is me.
You're a superhero. You're Superman.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And then, he has a little sister who also, your identities are being built, being built up at the same time. This is the guy.
Yeah.
And then I have to go to one of you and tell you that I'm going to break your world and tell you that, well, you know,
I'm the guy, but I'm not the guy.
I'm not fully the guy. Let me explain it to you. And, you know, you also don't want them to grow up in a world where that is like, you don't want to tell them too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, one of my biggest challenges intellectually now as a father, being a father of a blended family, is figuring out how to have the conversation is so different when, you know, you come into this blended situation and the other guy is still present.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually much easier to have this conversation. I feel.
Okay. Yeah. To have the conversation. Yeah. To be in that situation, not for me. But yeah, listen, that's too many people involved, right? But
I hear you.
Yeah, definitely having that conversation and picking the right moment is crucial.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know because I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
I could tell you from me watching children develop, watching my own children develop.
Yeah.
I know when they hit grade 9 is when they really start to switch, their personality, their independence, everything starts to switch in grade 9.
Yeah.
So if you can hit that before grade 9, because grade 9, a lot of times that's puberty. That's like a bunch of things happening in grade 9.
It might be too loud for that conversation.
It might be too much, right? And again, I've never had to have that conversation, so I really can't tell you exactly.
Yeah.
But I just know I'm on my 4th child in grade 9.
Yeah.
And seeing what happens to them developmentally in grade 9.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So to throw that into the pot as well.
Yeah.
It may be too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think and kids are smart. Like kids are super smart. Like they'll figure things out themselves. You don't want that one auntie to be like, boy, you know, you don't even know who your father is. Like, you know, something.
Luckily for me, it is airtight. Everybody's with the narrative right now.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So, you know, we have one of the aunts and say, "Oh, go hail up your daddy," and it's you know, a say less thing. There's no question, there's no doubt in his mind. That's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's ever going to really happen. I mean, you know, God willing, in my family, that the son was going to slip and snitch on the situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, as you were saying before, grade 9 could be too late for it. The conversation has to be had at a point when you can really deliver the truth in a loving way.
Yeah, yeah.
And deliver it to a person who's able to absorb that impact.
Right.
As you were saying, kids are smart where, you know, I mean, in our house, I'm confident that in your house, you do the exact same thing where you're not doing the goo goo gaga talk. You're talking to this person like a person.
Yeah, you're a human being. I don't goo goo gaga nothing. You're a human being. We're talking, hey, how you doing? Like, you know, we're talking real talk. Nah, I'm not with the boo boo boo. Nah, I forget that, man.
Yeah. It's not even cute. Like, you just have to talk to this person like they're a person. Like,
yeah,
we got our nicknames because you're small. But next to that, it's just like, come here, do this. Listen,
yeah.
I have my daughters too. And even though she's not really sounding out words like clear, it's still the same full conversations like, hey, listen, you have to listen to me when I tell you to do this certain thing, because things will either end up one way or the other way.
Right.
Do you want things to end up this way? And giving options, like, or do you want it, like, trying to provoke some abstract thought? And oftentimes she surprises me being like, she'll like sit and think about it and then in her own sort of babyish way sort of re-articulate how she would like the outcome of the situation to be. And that's how you know in there, it's not just like, you know, a bunch of people fumbling at the controls. This is a sophisticated human being just like you.
Like, they know what you're saying.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to process the words to respond to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, like, you can say, when you tell a baby, don't touch, they'll look at you like, don't touch. And they'll be like, They know they're getting it.
Yeah.
Right. They might not know why not to touch. So they might still touch and then learn. But yeah, they're learning, right? Between 1 to 5, they're a sponge. They're absorbing everything.
Yeah.
Right. So they're definitely able to follow directions and to a certain level, you know,
and take on challenging subject matter.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, the subject matter that I'll be broaching in the next 4 years. Which
yeah. He's 6, right? You said 6?
He's 6.
Yeah. I say 10, 11. Yeah. That's a good age.
I mean, my son is so smart, probably earlier. I can't even lie to you. Like, he is so smart. when it comes to just how he's able to process things, it's like an upgraded like software system. And I'm stuck at like iOS 9 and he's at like iOS like 18. My boy will like play some soccer with him. I'll show him how to do a movement and he'll scan what
And
I'm
that's
doing.
it. Got it.
Got it. It took me in my adulthood weeks to practice this little flick around trick and look nice. My boy does this fidget around and then is smooth. And I'm like, well, on the backs of giants, standing up.
That's it. So in your relationship, how is it being essentially a stepfather, right? And your wife, is there ever any conflict where it's like, don't do that to my child, or that's my child?
No, there is none of that. The way how it works in our family is it is set up the traditional route. It is not like this child is more mine than yours kind of thing.
Right.
Where said I never, it just doesn't make any sense to me that you would, as a father, because I mean, like as the man in the house, you set the tone for the home. Period.
Right.
That's your job. And if you're out there, I mean, we're not using any words, but you're being a non-man, beating your chest saying, "Oh, that's your kid," and that's da 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 da. You're putting that out there for it to come back around. Like this is the house that you are building currently.
Right.
How could you go about behaving like this, saying these things, putting that out there, and then not expect to be responsible for the same words that you launched on your ship in your house?
But to push back on that, sometimes it's not even the father who's the one who initiates that. It's a lot of times it's the mother when the father goes to like discipline or correct the child.
Yeah.
Don't talk to my child that way.
Yeah.
Right. The mother lets the father know, you may be the head of this house, but this is still my child. It's not your child.
Yeah.
Right. So that's never come up in.
No, that has not come up.
Brother, you're a blessed man, because I've heard stories, boy.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I completely understand that. I never saw that growing up.
Okay.
And that doesn't happen in our house, and not after a conversation that I had to have with my wife for that to happen. That's just never been the case. It's been more so like, this is your son and my son.
Yeah.
That's probably the farthest that it will go. And it's like, this is a reminder that like, this is our child. Like we need to be prioritizing it. And it's just like, okay. It's like, okay. Like, it's funny that you asked that question because I never have had to process it like that. But I mean, like situationally, like, looking back at it, I could sort of understand that being an issue when it comes to being a father in a blended situation where it's almost like territorial. Like, you know, your authority extends as a man in this house, a man in this relationship up until this point. And then after that, you are no longer allowed to say anything.
It's crazy.
That is crazy.
But it happens. It happens a lot.
And I mean, like, I feel like, being in that situation, I can kind of speak to that in the sense that even though I haven't experienced that personally, where, I want to do something with my son and then I get pulled the other direction because, someone put the flag down and said, no, this is my son, so you can't do that. I think that, approaching that situation, not in a militant sense, makes the most sense. I mean, I can relate to that in the sense that being a married man, you may want to do something, but you're a married man.
Exactly.
And you may want to take off in a direction. You may think that this investment is the right decision, but you're a married man.
Yep. You're in a partnership.
And you got to run that through the partnership.
Yeah.
And, on the flip side, like understanding like how to sort of navigate those types of conversations where, I mean, I won't lie to you. I've gone into some heated arguments with my wife over something that I believed was one way and she believed was the other way.
Yeah.
But also understanding that like, you're having this argument not to win, but to come to an understanding like that. I feel like that's pretty much the key in approaching all these types of conflicts when it comes to, the woman telling the man that this is mine and that's yours. It's like, no, listen, like if we are going to continue being a we, then we always have to have this type of agreement on all points, not just this point.
Right.
And, it might be a tough conversation to have, but I mean, like you as a man, I mean, like I'm also speaking again from my experience, like having expressed things and suppressed things. When you suppress something like that,
Oh, yeah, it's horrible.
it will change the dynamic of your relationship.
Absolutely.
You are stamping the end note
Yeah,
for
yeah.
your relationship.
It's
if
a
you're
setup for
letting that
failure.
kind of thing, yes. And as a man, like you may think like, oh yeah, she told me that's her kid, so let it be your kid and let her do whatever. But you make that concession there, and you will begin to make concessions in other areas of a relationship
Yep.
because you'll tie it right back to that. And the reason why you're tying it right back to that is because you have no other way to deal with that.
You're hurt.
That's how you're outletting your hurt.
Yeah.
You've been impacted. Your pride's been impacted. Your manhood's been impacted because she has told you, she put you in your place. Well, you're thinking that way because
Yeah.
but it's not that she put you in your place. You never pushed back to have an understanding, to have a conversation about the situation that you were in. And oftentimes, I mean, as men, because of that testosterone, that inner aggression, you may want to react. Sometimes you need to take a step back, think about how this is impacting you, and then come back and have the conversation later. It sounds like basic, like really basic advice.
It sounds basic, but communication is never basic.
It's never basic,
Communication is never,
especially not in the moment.
Especially not
When
in the
you're
moment or in a relationship. It's never easy, especially if you don't know how each other communicates.
Yeah.
Right. That's when it can become problematic.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
In a different way.
Yeah.
And not understanding each other.
Yeah.
So communication is key to any relationship, and compromise, communication, compromise, and just understanding. All right.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you're talking about communication in your relationship with your woman. Now, do you feel that when you are processing the information that she is giving to you, the way how you're processing it and sort of situationalizing it and seeing it can be different than how she feels she's projecting the information at you, and that leads to some discongruencies?
I have an advantage though.
Okay.
I'm in social work. So
Okay.
I've been trained to like listen.
Yeah.
I like actively listen. So I'm listening to your cues. I'm listening to your point. I'm listening to the things that you're not actually saying.
Yeah.
Right. So when someone is communicating things to me, I'm very, very focused on what they're actually saying. Now, my manhood does come in.
Yes.
Right. Where if my wife comes to me with a problem, I automatically go into, okay, let's just solve this.
Yeah.
Like, let's solve this
Yeah.
and let's move on from this.
Yeah.
I know you want to vent and everything. I really don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I want to just solve this problem so we can go on to something else.
Yeah.
But like learning as over the years have gone by that sometimes they don't want
The problem to be solved.
They just want to vent.
Yeah.
Right. So
And that sounds cliche as well, because it's just like you've heard that quote,
it makes no sense to me, but okay. Like if that's what you want to do. So not really changing my style, but
changing
my approach to hearing what she's saying and allowing the space just for her to vent what she's feeling.
Yeah.
Right. And then sometimes she'll solve it for herself. Sometimes she may say, all right, how do we solve this? Sometimes she may not even want a resolution to it. So it's just really listening and allowing her to lead the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. That's how I approach it. So I hear what she's saying, I hear everything, but all right, what do you want to do? Right. And then she'll tell me.
Yeah.
Can we go from there? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're giving the keys away.
That's it. We go from there. All right. What do you want to do? I don't know. Okay. This is what I think, but if you don't want to, we can do something else.
I heard a way what you're talking about there, where the person put it this way, where they said, you could be in a conversation where you disagree, like vehemently. So I heard it put it in a certain way where a person said, like, you may be disagreeing like vehemently on something, and you internally may have a bunch of points that you want to get out. But as a man, sometimes all you should be saying is, and like this is verbatim, sometimes all that you should be saying is, I hear what you're saying and I understand.
That's it. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I hear what you're saying. I understand. And just that confirmation is closing the loop on the situation that you're having. And it's not a problem. It's, oh, okay. I'm being heard. I feel understood. And you know what is funny about that? That conversation tactic, it is something that you can use in the situation with your woman. But I often find as a leader outside with
Oh
other
yeah,
men
yeah.
who may come to you with that same energy, being like, this is an issue, da da da. And you know, you may not even have like it within you to want to deal with any of that right now. Say, listen, I hear what you're saying, my guy. I understand. I'm with you. All right, wow, cool. You know what? Once respected, we'll come back around to this. All right, cool. You saved yourself probably an extended conversation.
Yep.
Probably some wasted time, as you would probably perceive it, by just allowing yourself to pipe down, maybe take a second spot and say, listen, all right, I don't have to be right here, but I hear what you're saying and I understand.
Everybody wants their feelings validated.
Exactly.
I think that's the key.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be heard.
Yeah.
And they want their feelings validated.
Yeah.
If you can validate a person's feelings, then you allow them to open up to you a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they respect you for it, right? So once that's done, then it shifts the dynamic of the whole conversation.
So yeah, as a man,
Yeah.
would you say that, like, as a man, are your feelings, a man, a father, as a man, are your feelings ever validated?
Ever? So they are. But so that, all right. So your feelings are validated from people who really love you, right? Like your wife normally will validate your feelings. Your children will validate your feelings. But as a man in general, not necessarily. Like, but again, men aren't supposed to feel, and I guess you could put it under the umbrella of toxic masculinity, right? Men aren't supposed to be too emotional.
But I mean, to push back even on the term of like toxic masculinity,
I hate that term.
I hate that term.
I hate it. I
don't think it makes sense.
I don't think it's a thing.
Yeah, I think that's a recent thing. That
yeah.
Is on its way out. Like, it doesn't, because we're hitting the reform of masculinity. It's like not really a reform. It's like a going back to the original form.
Right.
It's like the things that make men winners, that make men what men are now seen as the toxic traits. What made what we live in society currently, as great as it is, was built on
all
the concept
those
of
toxic traits that you're talking about.
Toxic traits.
Yeah.
But I mean, toxic because you can't control this person? That sounds like just toxic in the wrong place.
It's toxic femininity. That's what it is. But anyway.
It's hot, bro.
Okay, so since we're talking about fatherhood, right?
Yeah.
What is your definition of fatherhood?
Well, I mean, it's often said that you become a man when you start taking care of other people.
And that is true.
And that is, I 100% believe that is absolutely true. But my definition of fatherhood is, I mean, this is going to sound like it's going to sound, but I feel like it's just a continuation of your own journey as a man. You are becoming a man. It's now just expressing itself through how you're interacting with these human beings that are, responsible to you, and you're responsible to them.
Yeah.
And I think that fatherhood, I think that fatherhood is an awareness of that responsibility to yourself and to the people around you.
Yeah.
Like, you can be, there's that whole, another saying, you could be a dad or you can be a father. Anybody can be a daddy. You go out. It's very possible. Lots of opportunity.
Very
easy.
Yeah.
But to be a father is a whole different level of work.
Right.
Where you have to be present. You have to be not just present for your children, but present for yourself.
Yeah.
And aware of what you're saying and how you're saying it, and everything that you do as a father, responsible, has a long-term impact no matter what it is.
Right.
Even the short little whatever interactions, like, that's the legacy that your kids are going to carry forward as your message to the future, period.
Yeah.
And it's like, at one point you can kind of over-index it and be like, oh, I got to be perfect. I got to read all the books. I got to make sure that I follow the principles. Or you live it out honestly.
Just live it. Just
keep it going.
Yeah, just live it. I think fatherhood is about sacrifice.
Huge.
Sacrificing yourself for the greater good of the people who depend on you. So for me, I will sacrifice anything for my children. Anything. I'll take my life, spare my children.
Yeah.
right? I will sacrifice anything from it. I think that's when you really understand what fatherhood is. When you have your last
Yeah.
and it's for you, but you're giving it to these people
Yeah.
who are your children who depend on you, right? And that goes with time, that goes with money. Like you just said, you may be running from one job to another job, or you have maybe 5 minutes to yourself, and here comes your child, and they want your time. You're gonna sacrifice your time for them,
Yeah.
right? So it's just across the board,
Yeah.
right? That's how I see fatherhood, along with everything that you said.
Of course. No, I think that's a very eloquent way to put it. Where you sacrifice. Period. That's what it is. I mean, like, I would marry the points together. I also like, I can really appreciate, that idea of sacrifice in the sense that, well, I'll go back and say, like, when you said sacrifice, as an older brother to six people, five, whatever.
Yeah.
As an older brother to five siblings, like as an older brother to five siblings in a small house where we didn't really have everything.
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you. Like that idea of sacrifice, giving up your last so that the other one can survive. You should see how big my youngest brother is. Like that to me was always like, it's second nature.
Yeah.
To, oh, I have more. Oh, let me give this to you guys so you can have more. I'll take a pinch. Y'all have the lion's share.
Yeah.
That's how and to this day, that's how I live. When I was, living on my own with my brother, there were so many stories that we had of people passing through our apartment and, we let them stay for free. Primarily me being like, no, let me set you up. Make sure you're good. I know you're coming fresh off of Dominican Republic or wherever. Stay here. Here's a couch, sleep. Let me give you the shirt off my back. Let me help you. Like that whole idea, giving your last. It's at a whole different level when you're a father.
Yeah, 100%.
Where like it's like it's not like you're investing money. You're investing your life here, and like it's not even like it's second nature. It's just like it's almost like you want to put yourself on the tracks all the time. It's not even like it's an ultimatum and you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
It's like you're looking for ways that you can lay your life down for your children almost all the time.
Right.
If not all the time. You are trying to burn yourself just for this. These people.
Yeah.
And I'm with that. That is what fatherhood is. You are, and it's not just on the sit down and burn myself out physically.
Oh, no.
You sit down and you're just like, well, don't talk to me. I'm here. It's just like, no, I am giving you, when I'm done with all my work outside, I'm coming here to get into the work with you. And I'm going to give everything I can.
Right.
Until I more or less pass out for 8 hours. And I'm going to come back at it when we wake up. And I'm going to give you everything here.
Yeah. And I think motherhood has always been defined with sacrifice.
Yeah.
Fatherhood hasn't.
Word.
And they should be equal. Because it's both of you coming together to create a life and make sure that life can sustain. And mothers sacrifice a lot. And fathers have sacrificed, but have never put the word to it. Mm. So I think that's like you said, marrying the word to the action.
Yeah.
Now, give some fathers some advice. Either new fathers, old fathers, fathers who haven't been around. We call them absent fathers. We don't call them deadbeats. We call them absent fathers.
Absentee.
Absentee fathers. Give them some advice.
The advice that I would give to the fathers that are out there, who are also on this journey just like us here, would be to be a person who's willing to take a step back, to be second place.
Yeah.
Like, you're the man. You will always be the man. God has given you that. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
And that's who you are forever. And sometimes you have the power to create the opportunity and to create conversation, or you have the power to shut everything down and beat your chest and have it your way and be the man. But either way, I mean, being a real man, being a father, is knowing how to be responsible with the power that you have. And whether it's in an argument with your wife and she's saying, hey, this is my child and you will not you have a responsibility there to set the tone and to exercise your power as a man. No matter what you choose to do, you can choose to fight right there. And that would be an expression of the power that you've been bestowed right there in that situation. My advice to you is, listen, it's okay not to be reactive in the situation.
Right. Yeah.
That is okay. Sometimes the manliest thing you can do is nothing. Yeah. It's to take a step back and to restrain all of the, you want to fight right now. Sometimes the biggest fight you have to fight is with yourself.
Facts.
Win that fight. Like, you don't let anybody else take that right away from you.
Yeah.
That would be my advice. Like, to be a man is to be the protector, and sometimes the protector has to protect his flock from himself.
Yeah.
And if you can nurture yourself, if you can be self-aware enough to say that, listen, I'm getting dangerous. This is crazy. I got to back off. If you can do that for yourself, you will be the right kind of leader for your home. You will be the type of person who is willing to sacrifice pride as well as everything else in order to see your tribe succeed.
Yeah.
You lay yourself down, biblically they talk about, God laying his life down so that we would be able to have a connection with him. And then as fathers, we're taught and we are told to do the same.
Right.
It doesn't just look like a crucifixion scene. There's different ways how this sort of takes place throughout life. Yeah. And if you miss those moments because you're too heated, or you're choosing not to think, or you're choosing not to step back and take a moment and, regain some control, you're going to end up in some hot water and some trouble. You could ruin your family.
Facts, man. 100% I agree with you. Thank you so much for coming out. And listen, your points are amazing. We're gonna talk, because I might need you to come back. I might be doing something a little bit different in the future, and I definitely want you to be a part of it.
There might be some points that we're going to circle back to.
That's fine, man. It's fine. It's points that need to be addressed. This is all conversation that needs to be had. But thank you. I do appreciate you coming out. Thank you for blessing the audience with your words of wisdom. To everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Click the bell so you can be notified when another episode comes out. Follow the Instagram page, so it'll pop up somewhere here. And thank you, man. Peace.